Our second Sunday, December, the last second Sunday of the year, and I am Jessica Alstrom, and I am a spiritual scientist, and I own, with my amazing team, Susie Dressel and Amber Cousins, we are the creators of Transcendence Wellness Centers and Quantum Life Community, which is a global coaching forum that is international, and Transcendence International Consciousness Academy, which is an international university that is online for higher consciousness. And what I like to say, it is the University of Higher Self. You're coming in and joining us to basically move everything that is out of the way of who you really are and become that unlimited, total potential version of yourself. So let's get into the message today. We have a live little audience here, and then we are broadcasting in a couple of different places. We are broadcasting in our community group, Quantum Life Community. Hi everyone, we are live on my personal Facebook page, and it is public, so feel free to share if there's anything that resonates today with you. And let's talk about December, because December is kind of the month, the summary of the entire year. If you're like me, your 2007 has been very bittersweet. It has been a year of conflict. It has been a year of deep wounding rising to the surface. It is old reflections of programs coming back from the past. It is recycled traumas. It is losses. It's been grief. It's been very traumatic, and not just in our own particular lives, but globally. We have watched places that we love burn down. We have watched the places that we live flood. We have watched as the earthquakes consume the planet. And as we understand now metaphorically that it is all about that breakdown, breakthrough process. And we are moving through a very, very fast phase in evolution right now, which is all about us discovering this potential that resides within us. And this potential that resides within us is all about who we really are, not who we have been, not who we have been programmed to be, not who our parents told us we were or our religion told us we couldn't be, but everything that we are becoming. And the fastest way for us to realize who we are becoming is to go through all of these last few years of unbecoming. And we've been talking about that pretty much all year in Second Sunday and in the university, that for us to really become who we are, we have to purify ourselves. We have to purify ourselves of the truth. We don't have to purify ourselves to become good people. We've always been good people. We have to purify ourselves of the belief that we're not those good people, of all those things that we have suffered through and experienced in our life that has stolen our value. It has stolen our self-trust. It has shifted our intuition from coming from inside of us to something that we ask others to tell us who we are constantly. You know, we're constantly reading astrology, and we're constantly finding the guru and reading the books and taking the classes to discover who we are. And really what we're learning this year is that no one has been there for you except you. You have been the hero of your story this year. What you have realized is that all your false securities have been removed, and all your programs have surfaced to the center of your life. And what you realize is that you were there to love yourself when no one was there to love you. You were there to pick yourself up after that loss. You were there to look inward to find magic when all you could feel was pain. And so every month I try to tap into the collective and find the vibrational frequency of the collective consciousness. Most of the time I channel and I teach for my students all over the world that are messengers and light workers and empaths and starseeds and all the weirdos and the rock stars. But during Second Sunday, I tap into the 3D collective just to take the pulse of where collective consciousness is residing vibrationally. What is the emotional frequency of collective consciousness of December? It's compassion. All year it's been suffering, it's been drowning, it's been hate, it's been loss, it's been anger. And this month, compassion. That's a huge shift for mankind. That's a huge awareness that the very thing that the world, the planet herself, has been teaching us with all of the destruction is to open your heart and find compassion, not just for yourselves, but for your neighbor, for the planet herself, for the children, for the animals, And as hard as this year has been, and as trying as it's been, and as many scars as you have on your physical body and your heart by the end of this year, you have shifted into compassion. Compassion for who you're becoming. Compassion for what the world will be when we all fully move into awareness and can take full responsibility for our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions. So we know that 2018 is the year of infinite abundance. We've made it. We have passed the threshold. As a collective consciousness moves to compassion, we move into the direction of love. Sorry, it's very emotional. Tapping into billions of people right now. And when we feel this compassion as we move into 2018, we can ride that wave of finally being able to honor our heart. And the heart is the second and most important phase of our ascension process. When we woke up, we realized I am. And as we move into this next direction, we realize that I am love. And it is my responsibility. It is my responsibility to know who I am, to be of service to who I am, to honor myself and all mankind, and to walk in the direction of that which I preach. Which means that it is time for you to not just show up with all of your amazing teachings, but walk them through the world. Spread your seeds of knowledge, but do it from a place where you are actually representing as that example. Be that example of love, and that is what we're proving to ourselves that we are. All of this destruction is opening hearts all over the world, and it is affecting everything in a global awareness that we can have the energy and the understanding that everything that we've been through this year, the last 10 years, has been for a very specific reason. 2018, the year of infinite abundance, which means that we are moving into a fifth dimensional frequency as a collective. And to me, what 5D represents is it represents instant awareness, instant manifestation, which means when you become aware, you instantly show up as. Not you instantly aware and then you go into your dream state and then you wish and you pray. Because to me, the true definition of prayer is intention. And if you're intending something, then you better act it out. Because that is the divine feminine and the divine masculine representing the orgasmic experience of manifestation itself. When you act on your intentions, what you are saying is, I am someone who just asked and became. And the universe is going to respond to that. And as the time and energy moves faster on the planet, it is going to accelerate who you are. Something I've been talking about in the Academy lately is 2018, the year of infinite abundance. Abundance of what? Abundance of what? What's inside of you? All of those shadows, all of those programs that you've worked so hard to pull to the surface this year is about you clearing them out. So in 2018, it won't be like getting turned into, a whirlwind. Because as the energy moves faster, manifestation is going to move faster, and you're not going to know why you're manifesting certain things unless you have awareness that you are actually contributing to the magic itself of producing the result through your actions and beliefs. So if we are right now, the act of ascension is basically to make the unconscious and subconscious conscious, which means what we're doing is we're bringing our conscious, superconscious, higher selves down into the depths of our own subconscious, where we have disassociated, where we are hiding the lies of ourselves, where we are suffering, and we are making and exposing all of that to the surface with light. Now we know that when we bring any light into the darkness, into the shadow, it transcends immediately. Our only job is to reach deep, deep, deep within us to the places that we have left behind and disassociated with, then the places where we judge within ourselves, and bring love into those moments, into those qualities, into those behaviors, into those belief systems, because it is only then that you can technically see them. You need light to be able to see anything. So as the awareness increases in your own lives, what you're doing is you're realizing things about yourself that you thought had nothing to do with you. You know, the way that people treat you and the way that you manifest circumstances and events. For a long time, we believed that we were just the victims of that reality and that we were just showing up as puppets. And now we realize that we are both the puppet and the puppet master. We are the writer, the director, the editor, the producer. We are all of that. And where we are focused determines our point of awareness. In 2014, Susie and I sat down and we built Transcendence Wellness Center. And the tagline that came through to me was wellness through awareness. Because when you are aware, it is only when you're aware that you can become well. It is only then when you can actually know yourself. And when you realize is that 80% of your behavior is based in your subconscious belief system. That all you have to do is bring that hero, that dreamer, that visionary, that genius, that superhero down into those places where you feel lost and alone and small and separate. And remind those places within yourself of who you really are. Because your subconscious is about 80 to 90% of your point of attraction. So that's why most of our manifestations appear bittersweet. We want what we want, but there's a part of you that believes you can't have it. That it's not fair. That only other people get what it is that they want. That, it's not something that I could create. I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skinny enough. Fill in the excuse. And what happens is when we're operating from all of these different perspectives, the universe is listening with open arms to all of your different perspectives. And it's answering you accordingly. So knowing this information about the quantum field of potential, that when you are focused on who you really are and what it is you really want, you open up a world of potential for yourself. Potential that has never been part of your past. You don't have to incorporate your past into your future unless you believe that's true. We are here to be present in this now moment and be focused in who we are in this moment, take full responsibility for who we are in this moment, and move into a future that we choose to create. We're losing focus over here. Trying to reconnect. That's okay, we're still live here. So with that being said, 2018 is going to be the year of infinite abundance of the majority of your vibration. Which means that if the majority of your frequency, that me, myself, and I within inside of you, that mind, body, and soul, if it is technically in a state of unity, your life will thrive and you will become extraordinary in a very short time. You're already on your way. But if there's a huge place within you that you keep hiding or resisting or shadowing or blaming or in guilt or shame or judgment of, then that place inside of you too will be very projected loudly for you to see in 2018 because it is the year of infinite abundance. And the universe only knows one word, and that word is yes. So whatever you're asking for, whatever you're saying no to, whatever you're hiding, whatever you're covering up, whatever you're scared of, is a yes from the universe. And it will get louder and it will get stronger because it is about tough love. The universe saying, well, if I project this and reflect this right in front of their face, they've got to know that they're creating this. They've got to know that they have something to do with it. They've got to know that this relationship feels exactly the same as childhood. That this money issue, this feeling of being trapped and stuck in your life, this jail cell, who's playing the warden? It's the same warden that has been there since you were a child. It is someone telling you no. And believe it or not, you can't outrun yourself. You can't change your relationship and change your car and change your house and change your job. You can't change your education level. You can't change the letters after your name without changing the vibration that is deep within you. And a lot of us have spent many years chasing after academic success because they believe that that is something that's going to make them feel valuable. Well, if there's a 7-year-old still inside of you that doesn't feel valuable, no doctorate, no PhD is actually going to give you the self-confidence to walk in the direction of your true dreams, which is to be of service, to be extraordinary, to live a life of bountiful abundance, to be able to love yourself and love others the way that you love yourself, compassionately. Most of us have been on this journey for a really long time, unaware and aware. Believe it or not, you've always been on your journey. You've always been seeking, you've always been asking, you've always been praying, you've always been calling to yourself. And in the last few months, I would say that it began to shift around October. In October, we finally began to listen. Listen to our own voice, our own needs. Our own dreams started to call us again from a distant past that was buried inside of you. And we began to say yes. And as we begin to say yes to ourselves, the universe says yes right back. And as we move into this new direction, followed by an amazing event that took place, and if you understand how Mercury retrograde works, and you understand the purpose of a supermoon, it is about exposure. Mercury retrograde is about exposing places inside of you that you've been weighting down, that you've been holding down, that you've been repressing. And it is there to bring all of those things up to the surface so you can lovingly see them through your own conscious, superconscious awareness, and you can then decide with your personal choice to change those things. And the supermoon represents magic. And the magic is all about reminding you of that's all you are, is magic. Everything that you've ever created in your life came from your imagination. It came from a desire, and that desire became a vision, and that vision became an intention, and that intention became imagination, and imagination became inspired action, and inspired action came ability and want and desire to dive into the service of that, and then it came into surrender. And so as we move into the end of this month, we've got the supermoon to remind us how magical we are, and we've got Mercury retrograde to let us know what we are still hiding from ourselves. We can take these two amazing potentials, and we can actually use them together to bring duality into love. We can bring duality of the dark side of ourselves, which actually contains some of your greatest magic. The dark parts of yourself that you don't want anyone to know about, that you don't want anyone to see, actually contain most of your magic. Because you've hidden it away because it was loud and opinionated and excited and passionate and knowing and adventurous and loving and humble and kind. And a lot of times, being in a world that doesn't remember any of those things, we have to bury those beautiful things from ourselves, because if we don't fit in. You know, if I had such a vulnerable heart when I was a child, what would happen to me? In a family that didn't necessarily understand unconditional love. So that is one place that I buried deep within me until I was about 35 years old. I didn't know how to have a relationship. I didn't know how to have friendships. I didn't know myself. Your only ability to love others is your ability to know and love yourself. So a lot of the time, we have played the hero in everyone's life except our own. We have spent an entire lifetime solving other people's problems, being other people's life coach, being other people's mentors, giving more than we had within ourselves to give. And we gave away our essence. We're only supposed to give away our extra. But we gave away the very thing that we are. And what was left with that was a depleted relationship with ourselves. And what we didn't get is we didn't get the appreciation from those people that we gave so willingly all of our lives. Because the truth is that everyone is there to give to themselves. And one thing that I've been teaching a lot in Tika this year is that the true definition of higher self is not a hero. The true definition of higher self is a cheerleader. And the higher self is here to be the hero of self, of one, of unity, of the unity and the war that is going on inside of us. And then through the cheerleading experience, go and be an example for others. Not to mention root everyone on, because you believe that they too can do exactly what you have done for yourself. You cannot wake someone up. You cannot heal someone without their true desire and readiness and alignment to heal. which means that if you have participated in someone's healing, they have been in alignment of receiving that healing for it to totally work. You cannot heal someone who isn't in alignment with that desire. Therefore, what we're really learning is that ego has made up its own definition of higher self. And ego's definition of higher self is the hero. I can fix that. I can pay for that. I can do that. I can take care of that. And what we're actually doing is we're teaching those people that we've been the hero for that they are unable and incapable of doing it for themselves. And that sounds like a government, doesn't it? It sounds like we're training people to constantly need our help, instead of reminding people of the power that they have within. And like I say, like I teach, every time I can get the opportunity, the true definition of a revolution is education. Because when you teach someone and remind someone how their inner being actually works, and how you create reality, and how you live the life of your dreams by walking through your own intentions as the character of your own prayer, it is only then that your life gets beautiful. You cannot make someone happy doing it for them. This journey isn't about you being more aware, and you are more aware. We know that. We know that you're probably more aware of all of this knowledge and all of these modalities and all of this than anyone maybe that you know. But your job isn't to do for, it is to show, it is to teach, it is to lead, it is to guide, it is to help remember. Because you are going to be alone if you continue to do for people when they can do it for themselves. Because they're not going to get the wake-up call. You know what the wake-up call is? Challenge. Struggle. Suffering. That is the greatest catalyst. Isn't that what got you to where you are right now? Right? You didn't read a book one day in a happy state of being that talked about enlightenment and you jumped on your journey. You found that book about enlightenment when you were at your knees, when you were at your point of giving up. And the people around you need to experience that just as much as you did in order for them to actually honor and appreciate their own evolution. Look at how proud of yourselves you are. Everyone who is on this journey, who has made it this far in a new level of awareness, I would say is very proud of themselves. Because you've survived it, you've become it, you've got backbone, you've got thick skin and an open heart. To me, that is the definition of love, is being open and completely vulnerable, yet having that thick skin where you take nothing personally. You don't judge yourself for having an open heart. You don't judge other people who can't see your open heart. We've learned how to hold space properly this year, which means that we are there to literally love someone in the dark, not try to turn it into light for them. We have learned to fall in love with ourselves instead of constantly needing other people to be in love with us. We have learned that we create our own magic. We have learned that we solve our own problems, and not from the place of the problem mind, but from the higher consciousness of what is called imagination. Because it really is the caterpillar to the butterfly experience that we are in right now. And a caterpillar's existence and their viewpoint and their reality and their understanding of the universe itself is completely different than that of a butterfly. See, a butterfly can fly and see the whole entire perspective. It can see what can only be seen from the ground as a caterpillar. And most of you were born this way. If you can hear my voice, you were born as the caterpillar, and you have been in a small jail cell until you decided to set yourselves free. But you're surrounded by caterpillars who want to wake up, who want to know themselves, who want to become themselves, but they share a very different perspective of you. And instead of us owning our own value of being able to see a higher state of awareness, we have tried to fit ourselves into their world so that we could feel safe and normal and loved and cared for. But we still always felt rejected. We always felt abandoned. We always felt alone. And the reason why is because we rejected ourselves, we abandoned ourselves, and we didn't realize that our own best friend resided within us, our own hearts. And as we get to know our hearts again, we get our own best friend, we get our soulmate, we get the greatest wisdom that exists. Your soul is your greatest oracle. And I've been teaching recently how to get in contact with those places inside of you that don't remember who you are. Because believe it or not, the only thing that your ego actually is the unconscious version of you. It is the part of you that's still sleeping. It is the part of you that's still in judgment and feels separate and doesn't remember that it's God. And if you actually start conversating with that part of yourself through that voice of higher knowing, you're going to start listening. You're going to start remembering. You're going to start learning who you really are. So in order to make this subconscious conscious, we've got to start talking to ourselves. We've got to start being that cheerleader and that hero for our own selves and rescue those places of us that are still lost in judgment, that are still afraid to chase our dreams, even though that imagination is never going to go away, because imagination is your number one superpower. It is the only thing that's going to create the future for you. Your past will never create the future you desire. The past will only create the future that you already lived in the past. You will never ever have a new identity if you constantly make your choices from the past. The only way to create a brand new world is to be a brand new you. We just finished a 30-day experiment in quantum life. It was an extremely vulnerable experience for me because I didn't teach this workshop. I experimented on myself, and then through live demonstration, went through week after week after week, less teaching and more sharing my own experience. And I called it an experiment because I didn't want to have an expectation of the outcome. Life is an experiment. Every time you shift and turn and choose a different feeling, a different vibration, you're in a brand new experiment called physical reality. And so what I decided to do is I decided to do my particular experiment live in front of the world. We are in 32 countries in Tika, and I exposed all of myself as a teacher, as a mom, as a woman, as a friend, as someone who has gone through a lot of self-loathing in her past, a lot of self-doubt, trust issues. I put it all out there and exposed it all for everyone to see why I wasn't completely living the bliss and the joy and the freedom that I really truly was walking into. So I put this experiment in front of the world and did this with our class. And I will tell you, it was a phenomenal experience of my life because it forced me to walk my talk. It forced me to be a living prayer, which is an intention, and then acting out that intention. It was showing up for myself, not for anyone else, but for myself, because I wanted to prove that through the use of quantum biology and brain reentrainment and understanding that everything is created within, you need both that feminine and that masculine version of yourself to create anything, that in 30 days that I could walk and talk as my higher self. And I would say it probably took me more like 45 to really feel like that deep conscious place in me that knew who I was, that knew that I was something important and unique. It took me about 45 days before my subconscious mind really decided to believe that. But then again, 42 years on the planet, and pretty much 42 of them with huge places inside of me that really didn't believe in myself. And so 42 days it took me versus 42 years, I think you could give yourself that. I think you owe yourself that. So how we did this experiment is we first and foremost created a new blueprint, because believe it or not, your blueprint was not created by you. Your blueprint started in the womb, and you were fed the emotions and the feelings and the conversations that were happening around you. You were downloaded and you were programmed. And through that programming, you decided who you were going to be based in what you were born into. Family dynamic, religious beliefs, economics, right? Limitations. And you began to slowly separate from your true authentic self. And that is what the de-ascension, re-ascension process is all about. It's about going back and finding that true, pure, loving, all-knowing being that started out and then was very quickly programmed into the third dimension. And now we're finding those places within us, but we realize is that your blueprint was not created by you. It was a gift. It was a gift by hundreds of people that were sleeping all around you, who didn't understand the level of awareness that you came in with. And so this process is all about deciding that we're going to create a brand new blueprint. Who are we? Who do we choose to be? Not who we were, not who we've been. Don't decide who you are from the choices that you made 2 weeks ago or the mistake you made last Thursday. Who do you choose to be now? And then you create this new blueprint. And you decide that you want to create freedom in your time, your relationships, your health, and your abundance. And you decide what that looks like. And you create desire around that. And then you visualize the feeling of that. What does that feel like? How will I know what that is if I've never experienced it? Well, then that may be a time when vision is about research. Because if you want something that you've never had before, you're going to go have to research how to feel that. And you can feel that through your imagination, but you may need inspiration. So we found our inspiration and we built all new symbols that represented the use of our 5 senses, the use of what we reflected on is our higher knowing, our higher selves. We came up with a symbol for that. We found a song that represented our higher selves. And we started a whole new morning ritual because believe it or not, when you wake up in the morning, you are in an altered state of awareness. You are in a place between sleep and awake. You are between worlds. You are between the physical reality and you are between non-physical reality. And it is a place where your brain resides in theta. And in this place that you spent the first 7 years of your life in hypnosis, you have an opportunity to hypnotize yourself for the very first time instead of being hypnotized by physical reality. So it is in these moments of the early hours before we actually get out of bed that we go through our intentions and then we make it a priority that all day we are acting out that very intention. Right? We are acting that out. What does this feel like? How am I showing up? What is the purpose of this conversation? What is the purpose of the money that I just spent? Because believe it or not, the only way you're actually going to get to know your subconscious if you have conversations with it. You know, what is my intention for doing this right now? What is my intention for having this conversation? That is an open-ended question between you and you. You are your own spirit guides. You are your own oracle. You are your own guru. And it is only from the places inside you that you can actually understand your behavior at all. Think about the last time you sabotaged yourself. If you just stopped in that moment and asked yourself, why are we doing this? What is the intention for this sabotage? Oh, I understand. I need to subconsciously sabotage myself because I'm about to move my life to the next level and I've never made it that far before. Every time I've ever stuck my nose out or my neck out on the line for my own dreams and goals and I've always been disappointed. And I remember all these people telling me that I can't have what I want. So let me sabotage myself so I don't have to break my own heart. That's what happens. But if I were aware, I could have a conversation with my subconscious and I could have this knowing that it is only me that is hitting a program that's running in the back of my biochemistry, my biocomputer, that is telling me I need to stop, and it feels like a lack of motivation, it feels like an accident, it feels like doubt, it feels like fear, it feels like someone has literally manifested saying no. But that's where you go into your imagination, where everything is yes. Everything is yes. If you talk to a small child about something that they're wanting, they will find a way to get you to say yes, because they have all the solutions. They may not be logical solutions, but they will have a solution for all of your problems. Like that, within the first 3 seconds, which is our intuition, which is our truth. So as we become more aware of ourselves, and we decide that we love this compassionate version of ourselves instead of feel very vulnerable by it, we begin to speak our truth about the way that we love. We begin to cheerlead instead of rescue. We begin to feed ourselves and nurture ourselves in a way that we want other people to nurture us. We begin to realize that everything we've been seeking outside of us and our entire life is sitting in one body. And we know how beautiful that is because with the use of imagination and intentional focus and elevated emotion, we can change anything about that physical body that we want. We can change the color of our eyes. We can change the color of our skin. We can change anything if you understand quantum biology, that everything resides in a state of potential. It resides in a state of potential until you choose to look at that potential through a unique version of your own choice, which means you are deciding to keep your body sick. Somewhere, I'm not saying consciously, I'm saying there is a program running somewhere that is keeping the potential of the solution or the cure hidden from you, because there's a place inside of you that is also hidden from you. Nothing is hidden without your constant restraint, which means it's taking a lot of your energy to hide yourself from your truth. Most of the time when I meet people who are deathly ill, they are the most amazing healers on the planet. And what their body is saying is, you are the most amazing healer on the planet, so I know that you can heal me. And so it is about that inward journey, deep into the subconscious and unconscious, back on the timeline, from your very first lifetime in the universe to this one. You can remember by having these conversations, because when you begin to ask open-ended questions to yourself, you move your brain into that state of higher level of awareness between worlds, where you have access to your Akashic records and you have access to the field of potential. Everything that you could imagine is real for you. Everything you're wanting to create exists and is already happening. It is just our ability to line up with the frequency in order to match the potential so that we can live that reality. So one of the greatest things that I think that my class has learned this year is that everything outside of them is a reflection of them. I think one thing that has happened this year is my class now knows that. Because we have become scientists of ourselves, and we have looked in deep within the people who trigger us, and we have found ourselves. We have looked into the things that we're afraid of, and we have found ourselves. We have looked into the places that we are disgusted by, and we have found ourselves. And we lovingly have gone in and we have rescued those versions of ourselves, integrated them back in with light, transcended them with love, and now we're actually able to access those places within us that we were shaming. Think about something that you don't like about yourself, and then look at the duality point of that, right? If you think about something you don't like about yourself and then you've hidden it away from the world, but look at the other side of that perspective of you. On the other side of that is greatness, and you've also hidden that. So we all have the same potential. We are all extraordinary beings. We are all moving into a state of evolution that is defined by the superhuman. As our DNA moves from carbon to crystal, which is technically happening, what we are doing is we are purifying ourselves. See, the thing is the hero that we've been praying for has been hero the whole time. And the only one that can save you, purify you, is you. So there are people that are going to inspire you. There's teachers that are going to motivate you and remind you. There's voices that you're going to hear that are going to bring you to tears. But that voice is your voice. That voice is the voice of your higher self that you can't hear because you've disassociated it, but you remember when you hear someone else's. When you hear that song, when you read that line in the book that just makes you have that aha moment, that's you talking to you. So you've never left your sight, you've never lost focus, you've never set away from the intention of your initial divine purpose on this planet. But what you've done is you've gone through all of the shadow work that it has taken for you to move into a level of awareness and really truly understand who you are. And so 2018 will be the year of infinite abundance for you. It'll be an abundance of education and awareness and opportunities. It will be the gift of brand new people showing up in your life that believe in you because you're starting to believe in you. The opportunities of the way that you've wanted to share your unique gift will have now a forum. You'll have a platform. You'll have the resources. It's all just a little bit of inner work and conversation away. And that is pretty exciting. So do we have any questions so far? No? Does anybody have questions in the audience? Well, one of the things that's been coming up in class a little bit is one of those ideas of, okay, when I fall off, how do I get back on? You know, when I'm doing really great for a couple of weeks and I'm in a really high vibration, and then something happens in my physical reality, or I wake up not feeling good, or I get sick, or something gets taken from me, what's all that's happening is your old programs are reflecting forward. And if you remember who you were as a child, you were stubborn, and you were headstrong, and you were opinionated, and you were focused, and you were original. And now that you're becoming all of those things again, the very thing that shut you down in the beginning will come back to haunt you as a test. That's all it is. We've lost both places now.
And I got questions coming.
It's probably all the Wi-Fi that we're on. I can't get it. Oh, okay, well we're live in the community, but not on my page. So we're just going to take a minute and hopefully this reconnects. Not yet. Okay, we're live again. All right, so the past is just coming back to be that kind of teacher for you to see if you have altered your state of being. Because your state of being determines your point of reflection. Your state of being determines the reality that you're going to be living. And when you change and decide who your character is, and then you start acting out that in character, and you start to become that character, and you start to meditate not because you need to check out, but you want to check in. And you start eating well because your body feels more alive when you eat well, not so that you can be thin. When you start spending time with people because you really enjoy their company instead of them needing to solve some sort of problem for you, you know that you're moving out of those lessons that you're being presented with so that you can move into a state of ownership of your own reality. And that's what all of the books in metaphysics and all the spiritual religious beliefs talk about, is all about the ability to create your own reality. And in 5D, it is all about you taking ownership of who you say you are. And you practicing what you preach, and you walking your talk, and you behaving as if your higher self was acting out your behavior instead of you having your mask on and presenting the best face forward around people and then behaving all of your shadows out in private. We're shifting that paradigm. We're becoming people who actually value ourselves. And if we're really going to change the world, and we're really going to change the leadership of this world, and we're going to change the game players and the game creators of this world, then it's us that have to start showing up to do something about that. Okay? Do we have questions, Kara?
Yes. Lawrence asks, how do you forgive yourself for errors of the past?
Great question, Lauren. How do you forgive yourself from errors of the past? I'm going to answer this in a three-part way. First and foremost, there's a version of you that has not lived that. The higher version of you doesn't even know what you're talking about when you ask that question. Because the higher version of you is focused in the present moment and where you're going from this present moment. Your lower self is focused in the past and where the future is going to take you based on who you've been in the past. So with that particular question, the first thing that you could do is realize is that when you had bad behavior or a failure or a loss or a mistake or something you're judging yourself from in the past, what you can own right now is that when you acted those behaviors or situations out, you weren't in a place of awareness to take responsibility. And you are now. If you're actually looking back over anything in your life right now and thinking about you being in a higher state of awareness, you wouldn't have done the things that you've done, then that is honestly the only lesson you really need to understand, is that you don't know what you don't know. And when you're in a lower frequency, such as fear, guilt, shame, humiliation, abandonment, right? You only have access to the solutions of those frequencies, which means that when we're in the problem or in the fear, we only can access fear to solve our problems, which means we make bad mistakes. We make bad choices. We've hurt people. We've used people. We've manipulated people. We have done everything we could to try to solve the problem with the frequency that we were residing in. So when you start to learn how to love, and you start to learn how to trust, and you start to learn how to show up in higher frequency, in excitement, in joy, in passion, you have access to totally different behavior and solutions and choices. Someone's in fear makes a desperate decision. And you know what? Looking at that from a place of non-judgment, they're doing the best that they can from where they are. They literally are doing the best that they can with the understanding of who they are in that moment. Ego is always going to be the hero of that story. I did the best I can. I had the best intentions. Even the worst things you've probably done in your life, you had good intentions for yourself behind them. You didn't want to hurt someone, but you ended up hurting someone. Because we are at the base of ourselves, we are good. And we are God, and we are all-knowing, but we forget. And when we forget, we fall into a density. And if you understand density, it's shadow. And with shadow, you can't find your truth. So you show up in a way that isn't necessarily authentic to your higher self, but it is survival of your lower self. All of your conflict are based in survival. Every time you defend yourself in an argument, that's you surviving the argument. It isn't about you being wrong or right. You're literally being activated by the part of your brain that's saying we must survive. And that's all that's happening, is when you move into that place within your own biochemistry that says we must fight or flight, you're not going to be able to make really higher perspective choices, and you're not going to be able to show up as that being of light that you know you are. So what you actually have to do is you have to move into another state of awareness where you can find yourself again, and then you have access to different frequencies and different choices and different awarenesses that will help guide you into a more holistic choice of behavior and how you can show up in that situation. But one of the things that we can do right now is just go inside of ourselves as a parent would a child and say, you didn't know what you didn't know. You didn't have access to the higher frequencies in that moment. You showed up the way that you needed to show up to survive. And now you have a higher perspective of yourself. You have more self-love. You're supporting yourself more. You trust yourself more. Now you would never do the things that you've done before or show up in the way that you've shown up before. So what we can actually do is we can leave those to rest, and we can lovingly look at them as lessons learned. And what we can do is we can shift into the present moment where all of your potential is, and we can say to ourselves, who are we going to be because of that? Who can we be now because we've seen the duality of both sides of our choices? We've been the dark and we've been the light of that choice. We've seen the shadow, we've been afraid, we've been in fear, and then we saw the other side of that opportunity to be something completely different that's gotten you into this moment right now. If those things hadn't have happened, which they technically haven't, the only thing that keeps your past running is your physical mind. The past doesn't exist in the past, it exists in the present moment. So it is in the present moment that you can decide to choose who you are. And I have decided, because I have been both a big sinner and a saint at times, that if I was going to define myself on my past, I would never be able to stand here in my heart with you now. Because the person that I was not someone that was worthy to be here now. If I'm going to stand here now, it is because I have become loving because of my past. I have become trusting of myself because of the times I couldn't trust myself. I have become well because I have been sick. And it is in this moment that I am giving you my authentic identity of not who I've been, but I have become what I am now because of those actions. Now when someone else comes to me and they say, I just did a really bad thing, there's no place inside of me that could ever judge that because I've done the same thing. And I know exactly what I did it. I did it because I wasn't aware. I didn't have tools. I didn't have self-trust. I felt alone. I felt small. And when you feel small, you're always trying to feel big. And when you're always trying to feel big, you're not necessarily taking the actions of an authentic greatness. You're taking the actions of the quick fix, the instant gratification to empower yourself in the moment so that you can survive. So do you think that answered that question? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Nina asks, what can we focus on right now to raise the vibration?
She said, what can we focus on right now to raise the vibration of ourselves or collective?
She didn't specify.
Well, first we'll take the collective, and then we'll do ourselves. So we can raise the vibration of the collective by joining in the compassion, to become more grateful. The one thing that I have become extremely grateful of over the last 72 hours is my past, is who I have been and who I am becoming. So becoming compassionate for the people who are not yet aware, that are still out there making negative, lower, dense, scared, fear-based decisions. Have compassion for them because they don't know what they don't know. They don't have access to what you have access to. They don't remember who they are. They have been programmed with the whole unworthiness thing, and it's not safe to love yourself, and it's selfish to love yourself. And we can't fix the world, and we can't change the world. And you know what we can do for those who are not yet awake? Is we can provide a safe space for them to sleep. We can have compassion for them while they're sleeping. Because it is only our non-judgment of them that actually allows them to have a place to awaken. The reason why your children, our children, are so advanced is because we put so much desire into the collective, and we asked for help, and we asked for loving beings to come, and we asked for strong will, and it was all birthed into our children. It's birthed into nature. It's birthed into the animals for us to remember. Because when we were asking, it's always, always given. And how can we raise our own personal frequencies is make the subconscious and the unconscious conscious, which means bring the love that you feel in for anything down into the deep parts of the places that you don't love. And remind yourself that you're doing the best that you can from where you are. You're doing the best that you can from what you have. You're doing the best you can for the reality that you've created so far, because circumstances don't matter. State of being determines what you are creating next. So if you focus on your state of being instead of your circumstances, you can be anything that you want to be in the moment, but you must act it out, which means that you must believe it. And when you believe it, then the universe will change your ultimate physical reality to represent what you believe about yourself. Okay? Anything else?
Nothing.
All right. Well, we are right at about time. I wanted to invite all the new people that have resonated with this transmission to join our Quantum Life community page, which is just a free energy update place for people to kind of join into some of my work and our work that we're doing here at Quantum Life and Transcendence. And also, if they want to be a part of it, they can join our global coaching forum, which is Quantum Life Tika, and that is a subscription group. It is an investment. I will give you one last feedback. There's been a lot of tough stuff I've been teaching a lot because, believe it or not, the spiritual community has a tendency to still be in judgment about money and value. So one of the things that I've done in one of my sessions was to urge you to reach out to your favorite teachers or your favorite authors and send gratitude for helping them be a part of your awakening, because you are moving into their shoes. And when you move into their shoes, you're going to be in that vulnerable place that all of us teachers are in. And you're going to walk through the fire just like we all have, standing up here being completely vulnerable with you. And when you move into that place, when you move into that platform, when you move into your divine purpose, there's going to be people to support you just like there always has been people to support you, okay? And that you've supported in others. So one thing that I will ask for all of you guys, teachers and students, which we both are, is to make sure that when you're looking at spirituality, that you're looking at it as the business of the future. That you're looking at it as people are replacing their day jobs with spiritual jobs, with scientific jobs. And these jobs that we're doing are just as important as your career that you get a paycheck for. So when I exchange my time for energy, or any teacher, or any healer, or any practitioner, and they would like an exchange of energy for that, that is actually what keeps the universe in abundance. The universe stays in abundance through cause and effect, and giving and receiving. So if you wish, if there's a place inside of you that wants to be a teacher or a healer or an author or a blogger or anything, then you want to treat your teachers and your masters and your influencers exactly the way that you want to be treated when it becomes your turn. Because as we move into this infinite abundance, what you are judging in someone else is the devalued point which you feel in yourself. And that would be the first place that I would ask for you to change, because if you see everything as value, if you see everything as abundance, if you're walking your intention, your life will be very extraordinary as of right now. So thank you guys for joining me. This is something that I both love and hate, I will tell you. Tapping into the collective consciousness is a very emotional place for me. I don't usually do that. I tap into the collective of the Lightworker community for most of my work. And to do this on the collective place, I get to feel the emotional state of being of this both awake and asleep population that reside in. And I will tell you that the tipping scale is so huge, that the world is waking up so quickly, that if you just take the opportunity to be extremely compassionate for those who are not ready to awaken, and be extra compassionate with yourself, and notice all of the things that you have done right and that you have lived through and that you have conquered this year. And that will set the stage for you to move into your own level of power. And that power is through grace, and it's through love, and it's through knowing yourself is how we change the world. So thank you guys for coming and joining me and being a part of this. And I will see all of the rest of you in class and in Quantum Life. Thank you.